I know, I got no excuses. I can't really tell you why it's taken me nearly 2 months to put a bow on my London Marathon experience and come out with this video. I'm just gonna say life got in the way. But nonetheless, I am here and I like to believe that it's a better late than never situation. So I am gonna recap on everything that happened at the London Marathon. All the good things that happened, the surprises that were in store for me, and the not so great things. Let's not jabber on and let's just get stuck into the video. So I'm going to start this back from when I actually left for London. We decided to drive, although it was a hell of a long day in the car. For us coming from South Wales, it's like a really boring long jaunt down the M4 and straight into London. Shout out to Scott for driving the whole way because I would have hated to have done that. It did give me plenty of time though to eat, and that is exactly what I had been doing in the week leading up to London, is trying to increase my carb intake, drinking lots more water. The trip up there took us hours and hours and hours, and that was because we did stop a couple of times, and then we got into London, and my gosh, the traffic in London is just awful. It was a great little sightseeing trip through the centre of London, but we made it to London Excel Centre. I think it was some like 5-ish hours in the car by that point, so we were all pretty happy to get out, have a stretch, get some food and register. I was pretty nervous because I was thinking, shoot, it's Friday afternoon, everyone's finishing work, everyone's heading to London, it's going to be so busy, and we had already spent the whole day in the car. But I was really surprised because when we actually got into the London exhibition, lots of people were going straight through the entrance and just queuing up straight away to register, but actually there was a whole entire line of possible like booths that you could have registered at, and there were loads of people who were totally empty. And it was at this point I turned to Scott and I said, can you shoot me getting my bib and getting my registration? I don't care if it's cliche or stereotypical, I wanted that moment. But here's what I got. He just stopped filming, which I will never let him live down. Registration was absolutely breezy, easy. I didn't get a bag for registration because I was in team green. You didn't get a bag, you literally just got like your bib, and thankfully I took a little envelope with me because those bib numbers are actually really easy to rip. And then we headed into the exhibition, go straight into like this New Balance kind of shop, obviously huge shop, but there was also like loads of memorabilia from like other marathons and loads of like tidbits of history in there, which was really cool. It was really nice to walk through the shop, and there was so much that you could buy. People were literally draping hangers of clothing all over them and just like buying the whole lot. I didn't really feel like I wanted to buy anything, to be perfectly honest. I was really happy just getting like my finishers t-shirt, which I collected in the exhibition, and that was like enough for me. And then after you kind of get out the big like New Balance shop, you're in the actual mix of everything with all the brands and all the stores and all the kind of interactive things. I went straight over to the wall of names, and I had seen on social media the queues were massive and it was really hard to find your name because it is like a big fabric wall with some 50, nearly 60,000 names. I kind of just like got into the mix and was like, right, get in, try and find my name, get out again. And I was really actually surprised. I found my name like dead fast. I didn't really have to like look too long. It wasn't awkward to get to. So like sign on and registration, piece of piss. Finding my name, second piece of piss. It was really, really easy. So that was great. And then after I found my name, I went straight over to the Cliff stand. Really great to see those guys because they have just been phenomenal throughout this whole experience. So then you're actually in the exhibition amongst all the brands showing their wares and like products like nutrition, clothing, shoes, the big names, the small names, names I've never heard of before. There were also loads of other like interactive things you could do, like some like AI scanners and like running things. To be quite honest, like I was pretty pooped. Stevie was getting overhyped and I just couldn't be asked. In hindsight, I kind of wish that I had gone into that maybe a little bit fresh and replanned like my travel time and things so I could have actually done a little bit more and spent a bit more time there. But in that moment, I was just happy to have been registered. I was happy to get my finishers t-shirt and just kind of get out of there, get food and just go check into the hotel, which is what we did. Now my plan for Saturday was chill. My plan was to get up, head over to St. James's Park for the bag drop. And that's because with Team Green, you don't take a bag to the start with you and drop it off there. You have the option to either not have a bag at all, or you bag drop on the Saturday at the finish line. So we headed to St. James's Park just so I could do that. And it was super simple. I had my bag tag with me from the registration the day before, and I just handed my bag over. They put it into one of these like little tents, and it was the same tent I had to go back to when I finished the race. That was easy breezy. And after we did that, we thought, let's just have a chill walk around like Westminster, go to the park, get a coffee, and go to the aquarium as well, mostly because we knew Stevie would like it. Now, I'm not going to take you through my entire touristy day on the Saturday. What I really wanted to emphasize is that London Aquarium is freaking cool, regardless of how old you are. Stevie absolutely loved it, absolutely loved the sharks, hated giant catfish. The weather was great. It was a really nice day actually, but too long because we were out and about so much. I ended up doing some 10 or 12,000 steps that day, but my legs were pretty cooked. I was starting to get like really anxious as well. I think the day was a really nice distraction. Then towards kind of evening, everything kind of just started to settle in, and I started to feel like phantom aches and pains in my legs and in my hamstrings and my muscles because I suddenly started thinking like, I've broken myself. Okay, it's about 10 o'clock at night, the night before the marathon, and I'm in my hotel room. I did get myself my own hotel room tonight because for those of you that know what it's like sleeping with a toddler, you don't really get much sleep. I am an absolute ball of nerves. I feel like I'm on the edge of just ugly crying at any moment. I can't believe that it was only like months ago, which feels like a week ago, where I started this series about documenting my kind of marathon adventure. And now I'm here, I'm in London, and it's happening. I can't help but just reflect on the journey that I've had so far, the highs and lows of doing my first half marathon and absolutely beaming with it, and getting faster and setting new PBs has just been so cool, and like really kind of makes me realize just how much progression I've had over the past several months. And then the lows of dealing with injuries and then illness at Christmas, and then as some of you know, I lost my job. That hit me hard mentally. That really it just sucked all motivation. It sucked everything out of me. Anyway, the marathon organisers have been putting out warnings about the weather tomorrow because it's going to be a hot one, which is worrying considering I've done all my training through autumn and winter in windy, wet Wales. So running in the heat, not really my vibe because I don't really do well in the heat anyway. So I'm going in tomorrow without any real goals. I know originally when I started this series, I said I'd love to do this in 4.5 hours, but that was way before I really understood how hard running is, and in my naive brain at the time thought that 4.5 hours was plenty of time. I now know it's not. I have been truly humbled by this running experience. I just want to get over that line with my whole body and mind intact, and I don't care how long it takes. I just want to get over that line, get my medal, and see Scott and Stevie. And even thinking about it, oh my god, I get choked up. Why is this so emotional? I don't know. I'm not really even an emotional person. I've been getting like nervous belly and like not really sleeping well. I've got a massive spot on my chin. It's just broken out from nowhere. It's just like, wow, this whole vibe is just, everyone is like rallied behind me. I've got people sending me messages left, right and center, and I've got like people wanting to track me, and oh wow, that's just such a lovely feeling. Stop crying. Okay. Composed. I'm composed. I think it's going to be a real cool memory, or so I hope. Let's hope this is a really good core memory. Anyway, I'm rambling, I'm waffling on, and I really ought to get myself into bed and try and turn my brain off, which may be a little bit hard, but we're going to try our absolute best. Right, it's just after 6 in the morning and I've been up since about 4. I went to sleep pretty easily last night, which was great, and then I had to get up a couple of times to use the toilet because I drank so much water. And then from about 4, I just could not go back down. It was so frustrating because I really wanted as much sleep as possible, but you know, nerves, I think, just got the better of me. I got these porridge cups, so I'm gonna try and have 1 or 2 of those with some bananas, rice cakes. I got 1 or 2 Cliff Bars as well, just to try and like keep me going. I'll probably take some with me to the start line. Last thing I want is to kind of like eat everything now, knowing that it will be a few hours before I actually start, be quite hungry by that point. So I'll take some Cliff Bars with me. I think my biggest fear about this whole thing, and the nerves kind of kick in, is like I'm just scared I won't finish it for some reason. Now, I left the hotel probably much earlier than I actually had to, and that's just because there was so much fear-mongering online leading up to the marathon about how you'll never get the train that you want to take, that you'll have to actually get maybe 1 or 2 trains before your planned train because they're so busy that you won't get on. So I've just left the hotel and I'm on my way now to the station to get to Blackheath, and I realised that I packed my hat in my finisher's bag, which was a really bad idea given today's supposed to be quite hot and sunny, so that was annoying. Also forgot to charge my Garmin watch, even though I brought my charger with me. I left it in the other room last night, so I'm hoping 50% I have on my watch is enough to record my run. Otherwise I will be devastated. I'm more concerned about just getting to the start than anything else. But I'm just following some people who also look like runners, so I'm gonna try and just mooch on with them. Again, like, I don't know if maybe I'm just like super lucky, but I got straight onto the train, no issues. I even got to sit down, like, happy days. I mean, we did go through a couple of train stations that looked busy, but yeah, I got to Blackheath like hella early, and I was actually really surprised by just how like fast and quick and pain-free that was. I was just kind of following the waves of people heading over up to the starting areas. And at this point I thought, right, you know, strategic wee time, popped into a cafe and then made my way over to near enough where the green zone was where I was starting. So one thing about the London Marathon, which was actually really quite nice and settled my nerves, is the Facebook group of the London Marathon. So I was in Team Green and I was in Wave 4. And from that, there was a WhatsApp group as well. It was in this WhatsApp group that one of the girls had this amazing idea to braid each other's hair. I always run with a ponytail and my hair always gets quite knotted up, and I thought, actually, do you know what, it might be nice to have some French plaits in my hair for race day. Through that I kind of just got chatting to Charlie for a while, and then like you kind of talk about like why you're here, how you got there, how's your training been, and all these things. And we realized that we're actually not like too different from each other. Going into the London Marathon, we were all getting messages from the organizers about the heat, and honestly just standing at Blackheath and getting there that early in the morning, not a cloud in the sky, it was hot already. I really wish I was someone that thrived in the heat, but I don't. I really don't. You were already feeling like you were cooking because you were standing outside for some like 2 hours. There was no shade at all in that start area and very limited water. This was going to be painful. This was going to be really hot, and I had to be really careful. Otherwise, I was going to be in for a rough time. I was panicking at this point leading up to the start line. I was feeling foolish that I had no action plan. In those last like few moments before you started, I could have been sick. And in those first kind of few kilometers, you're thinking, my God, it's hot. The sun was just on you. You were cooking. Charlie and I were like chatting, and then we were running alongside another woman called Christine. She had an action plan, and she was telling us about how she's jeffing, where you run for a bit, walk for a bit, run for a bit, walk for a bit. Me and Charlie just kind of started doing it with her, and this kind of kept up for a bit. We were just kind of talking to each other, and the distraction was great. And I think it was around that 5K mark where we thought, let's just stay together. We started together. We seemed to be onto this nice little pace plan. Let's just stick it out. We've got this. And then when we turned a corner and we got to Tower Bridge, and you know that's kind of the halfway mark, I was thinking, I feel quite good. I can't believe we're here already. But at the same time, I was also like, oh my God, it's Tower Bridge. This is so cool. We got to a point where none of us had any water, and we're thinking, it's been a while. And that's when we kind of hit this super quiet, like residential street. And these incredible girls were hanging out of their kitchen window, filling up everyone's water bottles, and like they had a big jug of water. Yeah, shout out to them because they really like helped lift our spirits and fill our water bottles. And then we carried on, and we got to like, you know, mile like 15 and then 16, and I think it was mile 17 where I bumped into my aunt and uncle, and it was like just by chance as well, because I hadn't really been looking at my phone and I haven't been getting any messages. I had no idea where anyone was going to be. Charlie needed to stop for a stretch, and just as we stopped, I just saw my aunt like run towards me, and I was like, oh my god. And it was such like a wild like needle in a haystack situation that we managed to find each other just at the point that I stopped. I think it was from like mile 17. That's when I really started to notice the increase in like ambulances. Unfortunately, we did see quite a few runners like in the gutter. Seeing the people as well, like the ambulance presence and like the paramedics, and seeing people like in those situations just also made me extra grateful that I had Charlie and Christine. And then I remember hitting like Canary Wharf and the HSBC building, and you're kind of thinking, okay, right, like, you know, we're really not too far now from the end, and you start counting down the kilometers or the miles then. Every time you see a mile marker, you're like, oh, okay, it's only like 9k to go, it's less than 10k to go, and like you kind of mentally breaking it down into like manageable chunks where you're like, oh well, I've done 10k a million times before, so this is fine. All the while I'm also keeping an eye out for one of my other friends, Charlie, and his Mrs. Tiki, because I knew that they were going to be somewhere around like the 35-ish kind of mark. So I'm like scanning the crowds as I'm running, like looking for them, and then I finally spot them, and oh my god, they had jelly beans, they had a really cool sign. I didn't think I would get so much of a buzz seeing like my friends and family on the side, and it was like really, really nice actually. Don't know why I'm getting emotional now, stupid. It was in that last 2k, it was really close to Westminster. We saw Big Ben, and that's when I saw like my aunt, uncle, Scott and Stevie on the side, and that was so cool as well, because it was like I finally got to see like Scott and Stevie, because like, yeah, Scott had to handle her all day, so it was nice to see them like on the course just as I was like coming into the finish. And then we rounded the corner, and you kind of have to go like round the park a little bit, and that's when like me, Christine and Charlie were like, right, we have to run them out, we have to run the last little bit, grit our teeth and just like do it. And we did, and then that's it. You know, you're like saying goodbye to each other, and you're just like, oh my god, it's great meeting you, we just shared this incredible core memory together, and you know you might not ever really see them again. And it's kind of like a bittersweet sadness about that, but you know that for each of us who have done London, it's like you're always going to think of each other and have these like really great memories and moments from that. And it was kind of at that point as well that I kind of got my phone out and realized I literally had like 3% battery, which is why I couldn't really film anything of the finish or anything like that. I just needed to call Scott, go find him and Stevie, and then have a plan of action for the rest of the day. But I tell you what, finishing, taking off my shoes and my socks to put my flip-flops on was honestly one of the best feelings in the whole world. It was so good. My feet were just like, it felt as if I took my compression socks off and they just went I was just like, okay, these are going to be sore for a bit. So I did have a plan. My plan was to have Monday and Tuesday off my feet, off work, off everything, sit on my sofa, rot away, and edit this video and actually get it out in a timely manner. But that didn't really go to plan, because I actually had some freelance work, which beggars can't be choosers. So I just got stuck into work straight away. And that's kind of why this has taken so long. So how long did it take me to finish the London Marathon? 6 hours, 38 minutes and 55 seconds. Yeah, it did take me a lot longer than I obviously thought it was going to take me. I'm absolutely fine with this. Sure, there was a bit of me which is like, because you ran with people and because it was so hot, like you don't still know how fast you really could have done a marathon. I made the best decision for myself and the most sensible decision for myself on the day, knowing the heat was gonna really be a problem, but also because mentally I wasn't in a super secure place, that having the distraction and the camaraderie with Charlie and Christine was great. And I really don't care that my time is like a sub 7 hour marathon, because I got to really absorb everything. I got to really experience stuff, which I know if I had just set off from that start line on my own and just spent all that time on my own, There's a very real chance I would have gone into an ambulance, battling intrusive thoughts, inner demons, and absolutely hating the experience. I very much would have missed a lot of the things, like the landmarks and all the cool things I saw along the way. I probably wouldn't be feeling this great about my experience. I didn't pass out, I didn't get heat stroke. I came away with a really small blister on my little toe and a lot of sunburn. And honestly, like, that's worth it. Now we're at that time in the video where I do have to say a few thank yous. Firstly, to myself, because well done me. I did a thing and I'm very proud of myself. Secondly, Scott has had to deal with a lot of me talking, a lot of me going out for runs, a lot of my self-doubt, and he is like my emotional pillow when I have those bad days, but equally he celebrates the good with me as well. All my family and friends as well. I've had so many like well wishes. I've had so much support throughout this whole thing. Really does mean like just so much. Massive shout out as well to, of course, Cliff, who have fueled me during this whole journey of self-discovery. Another big shout out to Scott Sports as well, because they gave me shoes, arguably one of the most important parts of running. They also gave me my shorts and like some kit and some bits and pieces that have honestly just really helped me out. And then of course I want to say a massive thank you to the Refuge charity. I'm so over the moon that I managed to raise over £2,600 for them. Absolutely incredible. Thank you to everyone who donated. It goes to such an amazing cause. So that brings me to the end of this London Marathon 2025 chapter. And I say chapter because it's not the end of everything. We both know, we all, I hope there's more than one person watching, that I've got Berlin Marathon coming up in September, which I have started training for. I'm doing a lot more in the gym at the moment because I feel like a weak noodle. So I'm trying to get strong. I'm getting back into running. Admittedly, I did take a bit of time off after London because I just didn't really want to run and I just wanted to give my body a break, but now we're getting back into it. Last big thank you is to every single person that has watched and followed and messaged and commented and reached out, or just even if you haven't and you just thought it, thank you. Been fun, been great. If you're thinking about running London Marathon yourself and there's stuff that you want to know from a beginner's perspective, then please ask. I might do a video about how much it cost, because it cost a crap load of money going, hotel, driving, parking, etc. So I might do a video breaking down how much I spent. I might also be sick, so I might do it. Let me know if that's something you might be interested in, and catch you in the next one.